up, y'all? It's your girl, Rita Pitme Sai. I am the founder of Healing Out Loud, which is a multimedia platform that promotes and centers loud ass for storytelling, healing, and tools for sustainability. Today, I'm hoping that we could break down the steps to becoming a licensed clinical social worker. That is one of my titles. So whether you're just starting your journey in social work or you're already working in the field and you're on the fence, is it worth it to get my LCSW? Do I have the capacity? Is that something that I want? Well, this video, I want to walk you through the requirements, the process, and some helpful tips to help you decide. And again, I just want to put a disclaimer out there. This is my story and my journey, but a lot of what I'm going to outline today is the actual process and requirements of obtaining your LCSW. So let's just start with the basics. What is a licensed clinical social worker? So LCSW for short. I will continue to say that acronym, but it basically means you are licensed to diagnose and to treat mental health issues, provide therapy, group therapy, or individual, and then offer clinical services in various settings that can include hospitals, private practices, community organizations, community mental health, or you can also work in a higher education setting as one of the staff therapists. Overall, I hope that you understand that earning this licensure is essential for clinical roles in social work, especially if you enjoy working one-on-one with clients. You can also do program management, supervision. You don't necessarily have to work with clients, but something I learned along the way is that you can become those managers and work and help train folks that are working on their licensure as well. So there's a variety of different options that you can choose from. And I think that is one of the greatest appeals to getting an LCSW is that I can work one-on-one or I can manage a program with the understanding of what it is like to work one-on-one with a client in the community. So step one to getting your licensure is education. Specifically, you'll need a master's in social work or MSW. For me, I got my master's in social welfare, which is used interchangeably with social work, and I got it at UCLA. And the program that you choose to attend, the MSW, it needs to be accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, aka CSWE. Some states may allow degrees in closely related fields, but for the most part, you're going to need an MSW before you apply for licensure hours. It's pretty much the standard. So the specific type of MSW programs also are going to offer the type of clinical coursework that you need in order to follow that clinical path, because a lot of social work programs can also be very generalist, or they could focus on more macro work, which is working on communities or program management, something a little bit more on the admin side. You want those that are going to work more on the clinical, as in one-on-one behavioral health. And then the second step is that you're wanting to complete the additional coursework in your MSW program. So once you get all that coursework out of the way, you don't have to do it outside of graduating with your MSW. So some of the coursework titles include 1, child abuse assessment and reporting, 2, human sexuality, 3, alcoholism and chemical substance abuse and dependency, 4, aging, long-term care, and elderly dependent adult abuse, 5, spousal partner abuse assessment, detection and intervention, and then 6, suicide risk assessment and intervention. So those classes are actually essential part of the requirement. Once you graduate, it's going to be much easier, so you don't have to complete additional coursework and then pay for more when you can just do it in your MSW program. So that's why it's important to see that the MS program is actually credited, because most likely when it's credited, those classes are already offered, and so it cuts out half the work that you have to do after you graduate with your MSW. So the third step is after you graduate from your MSW, woo, congratulations, you did it. You actually want to then register for your ACSW number. So that is the Associate Clinical Social Worker. Basically, it's like the step before getting licensure. You'll also need to pass a criminal background check, and then also take and pass the California Law and Ethics exam in order to achieve your ACSW number. There are fees, just an FYI. This is a very costly process. It's not that you just graduate with your MSW with that graduate school debt. you also need to have money saved up to pay for different fees to apply to application throughout the entire licensure process. And that includes paying for the law and ethics exam. And then if you don't pass it, you have to pay for it again. So just an FYI for folks who may not be aware, I just don't want you to get shocked that, oh my gosh, like this is so costly. It is very costly. That's why it is a challenge. And I want to create these types of videos to help bring about awareness before you apply, so you're mentally prepared and you're not like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden. And so just wanted to preface that the ACSW number is critical, as that's the number that you will eventually submit for all your supervised clinical hours when you're actually applying for your licensure. So in order to collect your hours, you need this number, the ACSW number. And then the fourth step is actually getting the practice done, supervised clinical hours. This is a huge, huge part of the process. After you completed your MSW, you're going to need to accumulate at least 3,000 hours of practice. So what is that comprised of? That's about 2 years of full-time work in a clinical setting. So it's like 40 hours a week, but you don't have to go that route of doing full-time clinical work. I actually went that route because I didn't get my licensure right after graduation. I didn't go straight to clinical. I waited a few years before I decided to work on my licensure. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to get it done in the timeline that I saw best fit for me. Some folks work in a private practice setting where they take about 5 to 6 years to accumulate their hours. It really depends on your vibe, what opportunities show up during that time. But overall, the 3,000 hours are broken down to a minimum of 2,000 hours must be in a clinical setting. That includes a minimum of 750 hours performing in-person group therapy or one-on-one individual therapy. And then you can have a maximum of 1,000 hours that can be in a non-clinical experience, which can include client-centered advocacy, could include case management, consultation, evaluation, any type of research, any workshops that you facilitate. And then during this entire time, all your work is going to be supervised by a licensed clinical social worker, someone who's already licensed, which allows you to develop a hands-on experience and improve your overall clinical skills. As a reminder, requirements vary by state, so make sure you check the exact number of hours that you need based off of the state that you live in. In California, for example, it's 3,000 hours, and it used to be 3,200, but they changed it in the recent years. So just make sure you connect with your state and what the exact requirements are in order to make sure that you're following that protocol. Because when you get licensed in your state, you can only practice based off of that state unless you apply to learn about the laws and regulations in other states. You can only apply your skills and your practice with clients who actually live in a state that you have taken the exams and tests and practices for. So number 5 is you want to pass the ACSW clinical exam. So you already got all your licensure hours out of the way and you're ready to tackle the ACSW exam. This is a national exam administered by the Association of Social Work Boards. What it does is that it tests your overall knowledge of clinical social work, which includes what you have been doing within those 3,000 hours. That can include assessment, diagnosis, treatment planning, and then, of course, law and ethics. Many people find it helpful to take prep courses and practice exams. I actually did that. I will actually post a link in the show notes of the course prep that I took to help me actually pass the exam. And honestly, y'all, like I would not pass it without taking the prep courses, which costs money again. So FYI, this whole licensure process is pretty profitable for those who want to go that route. But anyways, I had to take a prep course, and I also watched a lot of YouTube videos on people who were going over different practice test questions that essentially some of them actually mocked what was in the real exam. I'm just grateful that I was able to put my head down and have the access to the YouTube, the free videos on there, but also I had to pay extra for the prep courses that I took to pass this exam and finally get licensed. So now once you pass the ASW B exam, that's the clinical exam, it is finally time to apply for your LCSW, aka your licensure through the state board. So this typically involves submitting proof of your education, for example, your MSW, all your supervised hours that must be documented, and then your exam result set says basically you passed both exams, the law and ethics exam as well as the clinical exam. And some states also require background checks or fingerprinting, so just be aware of that. Processing times can vary, can be 2 weeks, can be like months. So it's important to check in with your state to see what the timeline is during that time that you pass your exam and are able to submit all the documents. And then I forget the amount of money, but you actually have to pay. Once you pass the exam, you're to pay money for the clinical exam. And then you actually have to pay another $200, I believe. I believe I paid $200 for the actual licensure. I honestly don't know where that money is going. I'm always curious. I'm like, well, so who are we paying? I'm just wondering. Because I'm like, wow, this is so costly. It is so costly, but it will pay off, y'all. It will pay off in the end because there's so many opportunities that you can take advantage of once you become licensed. It is such a process to get here, y'all. It's not a walk in the park. It's a process for sure. All in all, now that you got your licensure, how do you maintain it? Through continuing education. So just wanted to go over quickly that there are additional requirements for being able to maintain your licensure. So there are specific coursework in ethics or state law. And as an LCSW, you'll need to complete continuing education units. So you'll probably hear the term CEUs being passed around a lot, and that's to maintain your license. Make sure you always stay updated on your state's requirements. This is going to help ensure that you're keeping your skills sharp and you're staying informed about what is the latest policy, what's the latest procedure, what is the latest information, what should you be knowing as an LCSW, including laws that, that impact, for example, suicide assessment or laws impacting HIV awareness. So there's just a lot of different information that you need to keep up with because, again, if you're not practicing your skills, your skills aren't going to be as sharp as they once were when you actually were in the trenches. And so this is a way that the board can help regulate and make sure that we are doing our due diligence as LCSWs of staying on top of our game and providing the best quality of service to our clients that we're working with. Overall, y'all, getting your licensure is a long road, to say the least, but remember that all the steps that you take is providing the best care for your clients. So just as a reminder to build a strong support system. I know I could not have completed this entire process without having my cohort. There was a core 7 of us from my MSW cohort that we stuck together and helped each other share resources and to make sure that we're grounded and supporting each other through this very arduous process. It doesn't need to be that hard, but it is intense, especially if you're first generation, if you're a child of immigrant, child of refugees. You haven't seen anyone else in your family or close circles do this. It's a whole learning process. So I just want to share from my personal experience that it's possible, but there's a lot of loopholes that you need to go around in order to come out successfully without feeling burned out or having compassion fatigue, and just to make sure you refuel yourself. The last thing I'll share is to know your why throughout this entire process. Know your why. Understand your why. Nurture your why. Why are you going into this work as a licensed clinical social worker? Why do you want to work with the communities that you are a part of? Why is that important? This gives you more credibility. There's a reason why I got my LCSW. It's for my community. Of course, it's for me. Of course, I want to be able to sustain myself. And honestly, the money doesn't really come in until you're licensed. Of course, people can make money through MSW process, but there's a lot of money flow that comes and opportunities essentially when you are officially licensed. Know and understand your why. It's going to make this process more rewarding. Do not come in and think that it's going to be easy peasy, because if you do, you're going to get weeded out. And I'm just being real. This is me, speaking from personal experience at seeing people that, hey, you know what? I lost my why. So I'm not going to start this process. If you understand your why, it's going to make this process a lot easier, because at the end of the day, you know why you are in this, and you're in it for the long run, not just for the clout, or I can provide therapy and get to know all these different stories. But why? Why do you want to get to know these stories? Why do you want to support your community? What is going to change in the community and yourself in order to better the circles that you're in? So, Kapta Life for watching. I hope this video helped clarify the path or your decision to becoming a licensed clinical social worker. And if you have any questions or if you want more tips on your journey, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on careers in social work and overall mental health or Lao and Southeast Asian diaspora healing. All right, it's your girl, Rita Ree. I'm signing out again, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.